Coming to you live from our studios on Slaughterhouse Road in Belize City, this is Love Television's Evening News for today, Tuesday, May 19th. We get you started off with a look at the stories making the headlines. Commissioner of Police says there is the need for all hands on deck to fight crime. Ramon Cervantes Junior claims case of mistaken identity led to detention of his bodyguard and condemns arson at Cane Field belonging to BSI ASR. Head of European delegation on working visit to Belize. An official explains methodology used in recent sugarcane survey. On Monday, the Sugarcane Production Committee took a bold decision to not implement the plan to restructure cane quotas among the 5,300 plus farmers. The decision came on the heels of opposition from a number of cane farmers, especially from branches such as San Lazaro, York Creek, and Shaibe, who stood to be affected the most. With less than 7 weeks left in the sugarcane crop season, farmers from these three branches, among others, argued that the proposed changes would drastically affect them as it will take away much needed quotas, hindering them from delivering all or most of the mature cane standing in the fields. At the center of the controversy is a survey conducted by the Sugar Industry Research and Development Institute, CIRDI. Many farmers have questioned the veracity of the survey, and so today Arturo Cantun caught up with CIRDI's director, Marcos Osorio, who explained the methodology used to carry out the research.
And this survey was what we call productivity survey, which has to do with taking a sample in the different areas, sample fields, go in there, do some measurements, collect those counting of stocks, collect a sample of those stocks, weight, and then extrapolate that weight to the acre. That's been proved scientifically, and it's an acceptable methodology. That's the methodology we applied. It's a sample in an area. Let's say in this area there are 20 parcels of cane. We don't know for who it is. It's a sample and it's done scientifically to get the sample. And then out of that area, we need to sample 5 fields. Of the 5 fields, 1 field has a very good yield of, and let's give a number, 30 ton cane per acre, a 5-acre field. And we have another field, let's say of 2 acres, and its yield is 15 tons cane per acre. And then the other 3 are 18 and 16. So when you average it, because that's the methodology, then you average the area. When you average it, the one that is high is the one that's hurt, it goes down. The ones that are low, because of his high, they go up a little, so they are improved a little. So at the end of the day, the average will hurt the one that has good production, but it benefits the one that have less production. But that's the methodology, and it's a sample that is representative to the area. It doesn't mean, because it's not an individual survey. If it's an individual survey, we need to do every cane parcel, and that we are doing with the information system. So when we average it, and we average all the areas, there are some areas that improved a little, there are other areas that got hurt, went down, but it simply is a picture of each of the areas in terms of yield per acre, and we don't have any doubt in the results.
Osorio echoed what we have heard from BSI, which is that the survey was conducted with the objective to produce an updated database, the Sugar Industry Management Information Service that would be at the disposal of all stakeholders in the sugar industry. Osorio said that this recent survey is one that should have been done years ago.
The primary objective here was that where the areas that have the cane get the opportunity to deliver that cane. What it meant that each harvest group would have had, in the best of situations, each harvest group would have had an extra ton to deliver every day, or 2 tons per day, or 3 tons per day, or some maybe 5 tons more per day. But if we continue, which the decision was to continue as it was, then those harvest groups that were to benefit positively have been delivering, because this comes from the start of the crop, have been delivering. If it was 1 ton, it has been 1 ton less every day, which means we are in crop day number like 110 or so, if I'm not mistaken. It means that group has delivered 110 tons less. And if we have 50 more days to go, he would have delivered 160 tons less by the end of the crop, when he should have been given the opportunity to deliver 160 tons more for the crop. So the explanation there is because we started with a 1.458 million ton production estimate, and there was no way that the mill would be able to mill all that cane, because we already left by the start of the crop, late start of the crop, we stopped delivering an estimate of 300,000 tons of cane by the time we started the crop. Which means if we had 1,458,000, the intelligent thing to do that should have been done was to minus the 300,000 tons, and you do the distribution in 1,158,000 tons, and then everybody would have had more tons to deliver every day when compare it with the current situation, and everybody would have been advanced more, especially those that do have the production as it should be.
Chairman of the Sugar Industry Control Board, Gabriel Martinez, told the media yesterday that by Friday, May 22nd, CIRDI will deliver a final report on the survey conducted to be revised by the SCPC before any other decision is taken. While the SCPC met yesterday at the Sugar Board office, some 20 acres of cane belonging to BSI ASR went up in flames. Love News has been able to confirm from BSI sources that a watchman was guarding the fields in the San Lorenzo area when he observed a blue double-cab pickup truck circling the area. He then noticed that 2 men exited the vehicle and lit fire in different areas of the field. The security guard alleges that as he approached the vehicle to record the license plates, numbers of shots were fired at him, forcing him to retreat, and subsequently informed his supervisors, who called the police. Quick police response led them to detain 2 occupants of a blue double-cab pickup truck on the San Antonio-Rio Creek Road. The vehicle has been identified as being the property of Ramon Cervantes, and inside the vehicle were Efrain Alpuche Junior and Saul Vasquez. Alpuche is Cervantes' personal bodyguard. Since word spread of the detention of the 2 men, fingers have been pointed at Cervantes as being behind the burning of BSI's cane fields. Today, Cervantes spoke and denied any involvement, and at the same time condemned such acts of malice.
It's my political opponents. You said it could be political. And yeah, they are the ones that are trying to make a case of it and trying to implicate me. But I will state categorically that I condemn and denounce the burning of cane fields. And why? There is a fundamental reason, because my family has been victims. We have been victims to the burning of cane fields. No, I have very good friends who have been victims to the burning of cane fields. In fact, last month, 17 acres of our cane field right at Mamayal, opposite to where they abducted my father. Right there, they burned 17 acres of our cane. So I totally denounce and condemn such actions of burning cane fields, and I would never engage in such an action. I would never incite such an action or condone it. No, in fact, I denounce such actions as the burning of cane fields.
While investigation continues into the issue of who set fire to more than 700 tons of BSI's cane, Cervantes raised the possibility that all of this might be a case of mistaken identity. According to Cervantes, recent information brought to his attention by a Mennonite employee is that Alpuche was at the Cervantes quarry in San Antonio Village at the time of the incident, and it was when they were on their way back to Orange Walk Town that both men were detained by police for allegedly setting the fields on fire.
The Mennonite said, you know, Monchi said He said he took down the water pump of the compressor of our drill. He said and that he came down to Orange Rock with Alpuche, which is his driver, and that he couldn't. They don't have the water pump here in Orange Rock. He checked yesterday evening on West Rock and everything. So where will we get it? I tell him, well, then I told him, I said, you came with who? He said, Alpuche went to pick me up in the pickup. He said, he went to pick up the part, he said. And then since it was around 3:34, he said, I jumped in and to go to Orange Rock to catch the spare part, auto parts stores. And he said that, so I questioned him. I said, you came with Alpuche? He said, yes. What about the police? He said, oh, the police stopped them coming from San Antonio, he said, about right after the first curve after the bridge. It's by the first culvert, he said. Right there is where, around there, the police stopped them and detained them. He said he told him he was only getting a ride, so they didn't take him in, no? And so that puts another spin to the another angle to the story, because what I was hearing up to last night is that the guys were caught red-handed and they fired shots and they sped off and the police set chase after them and caught them, and apparently that is not so. The other issue is that shots were fired by those two guys, and if it was those two guys that whatever did what they are being accused of, it's highly, highly improbable that those guys fired shots, because everyone that's been in that pickup, and there's been a lot of people can attest to the fact that in that pickup there's no gun in the pickup nor on the driver. Really, I find that hard to believe, because that yes is very, very highly improbable that if there were shots fired, it was highly probable that it wasn't those guys if there were any shots fired.
Over the weekend, 4 murders were reported, taking the murder count close to 60 to date. If the trend continues, 2015 can turn out to be the most deadly in recent years. The question remains, what is the police department doing to reverse this trend? Today, Commissioner of Police, Alan Wiley, said they are doing everything possible, but they need the cooperation of the community.
Crime is not an issue that will be solved by the Belize Police Department. It will take each and every individual citizens within Belize. As I've always said, we do not have police officers on every street corners, but we do have citizens who live on every street. And so the solution to the crime problem, the kind of information and intelligence we need rests with the citizens out there. I have always asked for their support to provide those kind of information, to work with us. We've done a number of community policing programs and projects where we're trying to partner with the community. Yes, it's a tough job. I recognize it's a thankless job, but someone has got to do it, and I believe that we are up to the challenge and we have been doing the best possible job. You understand that we are not out there doing the crimes. We are trying to prevent the crimes, but crime is not concentrated in one part of Belize City or one part of the country. As soon as you put things in place to try to neutralize one area, then something occurs and then it occurs somewhere else. What we have been trying to do is build the resiliency in terms of ensuring that our investigators hit the ground running and that they try to get the best possible evidence to identify the perpetrators, to interdict them and to arrest and charge. And that is what we have been doing.
So you mentioned that the department is doing its best, but do you believe that it's doing enough?
Well, we are doing the best under the circumstances. Am I satisfied where we are? No, I'm not, because yes, the crimes are occurring. We've seen reductions, as I've said before, in all the various categories of major crime, with the exception of the murders. So there are positive things the department are doing. The murders, majority of the murders are not preventable. How do you prevent a person from being killed in their home? What else could the police have taken? What individual steps? So there are dual responsibilities. Individual citizens also have the right to ensure that they are aware of their environment and that they take necessary steps to also ensure that they are safe. We continue to be challenged because we have not been getting the kind of information or intelligence to be more proactive in terms of preventing. We've seen a splintering within the gangs in Belize City, and we've taken a number of steps to neutralize that. As I said, we've put a number of VCPs in certain areas. We've put out our mobile command center in some areas. We've stepped up on the stop and search. I'm certain that as you've been around, as well as other citizens have been around, they have seen those officers on the ground. The issue is that the police department has got to be right 100% of the time. The criminal only need one opportunity, 1 second to be able to do what they need to do. And so as I've always said, we will continue to be out there. We'll be trying to arrest the situation, but the answer lies with the citizens. The answer lies with the individuals who are involved in these sort of things. There are parents, there are wives, there are husbands who's aware of what is taking place. And most people would say, it does not concern me, but when it reaches their door, then there is this hue and cry. We have got to come together collectively as a society to address and deal with this situation. We are out there, we're trying to deal with it, but it will take more than the Belize Police Department to get it done.
While the commissioner has to deal with the rise in crime situation in Belize, he also has to deal with police officers behaving like criminals. Yesterday, we reported on the case of police constable Jian Ya, who was caught with 3,139 grams of weed inside his silver Hyundai car as he was entering Belize from the northern border. The drugs were found inside the trunk, and PC Ya was arrested and charged for the crime of drug trafficking. He appeared in court, met bail of $3,000, and is to reappear on August 21st. PC Ya is not the first officer to be charged for a criminal offense, and most likely will not be the last. Commissioner Wiley says PC Ya has been placed on interdiction.
Well, I do know of the case. He was handed over to police. He has been arrested and charged. He has been taken to court. My understanding is that he was granted bail. He has been placed on interdiction by my office also. We, as administrators, we do not condone wrongdoing within the Belize Police Department, be it of a criminal nature or be it a complaint from your citizen. It will be thoroughly investigated, and once it's substantiated, corrective actions will be taken. I cannot tell my officers what to do because each individual is responsible for their own action, their own conduct. But I can assure you and assure the citizens that as long as wrongdoing is brought to my notice and we can substantiate it after it's investigated, it will be dealt with.
We also asked the commissioner about the alleged police brutality in Dangriga that sent 21-year-old John Pascual to the KHMH for treatment for brain injuries. But Wiley told us he is not aware of the situation. While there are some bad cops tarnishing the reputation of the Belize Police Department, there are some with the goal to uplift the department. 3 senior police officers were sent abroad to study law, but where will they be placed if they return to work to Belize?
I would not want to preempt that in terms of where they will be placed. I can say that I am eagerly awaiting their arrival back, and I hope that all 3 officers will be back with the police department where we'll be able to utilize their strengths. We do need their assistance, and I am hopeful that we'll keep all 3 of them.
Since the start of the week, our news center has been receiving information that workers from the Belize Electricity Limited have been on a sick out or go slow after their request for a 10% raise in salary, among other things, is not being fulfilled. We have made several calls to members of the union, including the head of the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, Marvin Mora, who incidentally was out sick from work yesterday. Mora told Love News via text message yesterday, quote, "I really don't know what you are talking about, but if the rest of my brothers and sisters are doing something like that, then I'm sure they saw it was necessary." End of quote. Today we received further reports that 90 workers were out of the office on a sick out. Again, we contacted a union member, namely Henry Balam, the head of the Belize Energy Workers Union, who told us that they are not speaking to the media and that official information would have to come from the lead negotiator, Sean Fuller. Our attempts to reach Fuller, however, have been futile. We did, however, speak to the public relations officer of the Belize Electricity Limited, Vonetta Burrell, who told us that the information of 90 persons not reporting to work is untrue. She did, however, concede that negotiations have been ongoing since November 2014 for a partnership collective agreement, and that the negotiations are agreed by a protocol which partly dictates that both parties are not permitted to make public statements on the ongoing negotiations. When asked for a time frame as to when negotiations would conclude, Burrell referred to us back to the protocol of not being able to discuss the matter. Love News understands that part of the negotiations includes a request for a 10% increase in salaries. Head of Delegation for the European Union to Belize, Ambassador Paula Amadai, is on a working visit to Belize. Last Saturday, the ambassador attended the official opening of the Maya House of Cacao, which is an initiative under the Belize Rural Development Program. Throughout this week, the ambassador will be seeing the progress made in some of the EU-funded projects within the country. She will meet with Prime Minister Dean Barrow to discuss the various projects and advances in the Belize-EU relationship, as well as preparations for EU-CELAC Summit in June and the United Nations Climate Change Conference in November. Ambassador Amadai will also meet with other government officials, representatives from donor agencies, and local EU project partners. She leaves the country on Thursday. The Belize National Festival of Arts kicked off a week of festivities, celebrating and showcasing Belizean creativity with an opening ceremony and art jamboree yesterday at Bird's Isle. Children from all over the country take part in the yearly celebration, interacting and exploring the expressive arts. Today, the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts came alive with students from the primary school showcase. This year, the Festival of Arts will feature many golden performances from schools across the district that were chosen as the best of the best, says Sherry Williams, Communications Officer for Niche.
We're celebrating Festival of Arts, celebrating and showcasing Belizean creativity. Of course, festival is all about the young people, the youth of Belize. And so today it kicked off yesterday with a youth jamboree at the Bird's Isle. Today, Wednesday and Thursday, we're having the primary school showcase here at the Bliss. It starts at 10 a.m. and it goes right up until noon. And we're busing in schools from countrywide. Today we have Cayo and Corozal in the house. We're bringing the best of the best, what we would call the golden performances. And of course, I understand that there were so many goals given out this year that we could not bring all the gold performances. So these are really the best of the best. Each year, there's a Festival of Arts held in every district. And they come up with their own judges. We have Mr. Leroy Green, who travels to all the districts. We have Mr. Leroy Green, who travels to all the districts, and he really assists with selecting the best performances that he thinks should come to Belize City. So this is really a national festival you're seeing on the stages at the Bliss this week.
In light of the national festivities, Williams says the Festival of Arts has come a very long way since its inception.
We could all remember Festival of Arts back in our days. It's been going on for quite some time now. This is really a time when the children are really given an opportunity to take the stage and to show their talents and to show how very creative they are. Every year we're blown away by some of the performances. And I've heard Mr. Green and some of the other experts speak this year about how we really come a long way. Like back in the days, schools used to boo each other, but now people actually appreciate the raw talent that come to the stage. And so definitely we're looking forward to a wonderful festival this year.
This year, teachers will also share the spotlight and showcase their talents, from which winners will receive cash prizes and prizes for their school.
We also have a Teachers Got Talent night, where the teachers, because we understand that the teachers are behind most of these talents that come on stage, so the teachers then ask for an opportunity to showcase their talent, and it's going to be a competition. So there will be a Teachers Got Talent on Friday the 29th at the Bliss, and it starts at 1:30, and we decided to take it in the afternoon because a lot of the school children want to come to cheer on their teachers. And it's a competition as well, and I understand, Maine, a lot of challenges being thrown out on Facebook, so it's going to be really great. They get an opportunity to win and take back prizes to their schools.
With much respect to talented young kids, this year the Festival of Arts will extend its reach.
This year we're taking the festival to YMCA on Farbers Road, and we're taking the festival out of the Bliss and we're taking it into the community. That happens on the 23rd. As well, we're having a festival in Lakei at the Samuel Haynes Institute on the basketball court, and that happens on the 30th.
Kids in that community.
For the kids and adults in that community. Anybody who wants to take the stage pretty much are invited. I understand that why last year one young man got up and sang, and his family, the entire community, did not know that he could sing so well. So it's really an opportunity for people in that area to come out.
On Thursday, May 21st, the Bliss Center will host the Festival of Arts Secondary School Competition. Admission fee is $3 for adults and $1 for students. 27 police officers successfully completed a field training workshop. Reporter Hipólito Novello stopped by the Ramada Princess Hotel, where the graduation took place, and filed this report.
Some 27 officers were handed certificates for successfully completing a 7-day training workshop held at the Ramada Princess Hotel in Belize City. The Field Training Officer Program is a new initiative in the Belize Police Department where senior constables, NCOs, and a senior officer receive specialized training.
The purpose basically is to provide mentorship, evaluation, guidance on the job to the recent recruits who had passed out. So as I said, it's a initiative. We recognize that the 4 months program, basic program, might not be sufficient to have the best officers on the street, and so we hope that with such a program we'll be able to do the daily supervision and guidance that they require to allow them to be very successful police officers.
With the assistance of the U.S. Embassy in Belize, facilitators from the USA were brought into the country to carry out the program. One of them was Lieutenant Kevin O'Brien.
Field training program, as I teach, is a 40-hour block of instruction, and it teaches every police officer that wants to be a field training officer how to deal with training an adult, taking them out of the academy, the basic training in the academy, and then putting that to work in the field. So we came down a week before the class started so that we can go around and actually drive with the people in Belize Police Department to get a feel of what they're doing out there and what the work challenges are. And then we used that information that we obtained while we did the class last week. Did a 40-hour class, trained 27 members of the Belize Police Department in how to do policing and how to do policing training, I should say, of the recruits as they come out of the academy. And it was extremely important and very successful.
Okay, great. Tell me about some of the topics of discussion that you had as the training rolled on.
Sure. So it started with the history of the San Jose model, which is the model of FTO program that we utilize, and then it went into how to teach adults, because adults are much different learners than as children are. And then from there, it also went into some of the legal issues that you can run into as an FTO. It also taught the potential FTOs or the future FTOs how to put a lesson plan together and use the calls that they will encounter in the field as lesson plans to teach the new recruits how to do their job better in the field.
6 NCOs were also part of the training, and their responsibility will be to pass on the knowledge to the new members of the police department.
We've also trained 6 of our NCOs to be trained the trainers, because this is a program that will continue throughout the department. There's dual function. They'll be working with the recruits, and they'll also be responsible to provide in-service training within the precincts in Belize City. It's a pilot project in Belize City with the intent that once we've gotten rid of the teething problems and whatever challenges and difficulties, then we'll extend it to the districts, and then those field training officers will be responsible to review the training curriculum within the district, see where there are weaknesses, analyze it, develop training programs to rectify and strengthen the capacity of the officers. Said it aims at supporting the recruits to be successful, and so a number of recruits will be attached to each field training officer. And there'll be 4 phases. There'll be an investigative phase, a patrol phase, a traffic phase, and a court prosecution phase. So the intent is to allow the officers to hone their skills, that they are competent in every area of policing, that they can work basically unsupervised and feel sufficiently well-versed enough to be able to deal with any situation.
You are really the catalyst or the instrument of change for enhancing the criminal justice system here in Belize. And without you, officers at the front line, really forming the foundation of making this a better criminal justice system, it's going to be all the more difficult to make the justice system in Belize.
The field training program will be rolled out into the other districts in due time. Reporting for Love News, Hippolyta Novello.
Today, another milestone was completed by CIRDI, the technical arm among stakeholders in the sugar industry. Approximately 200 cane farmers gathered at the CIRDI headquarters at mile 66.5 on the Philip Goldson Highway to commemorate 1 year since the opening of the new and modern facility. As part of the day's activities, farmers were treated to a tour of the services CIRDI offers in areas of field maintenance, crop maintenance, and study of soil. CIRDI was born in 2009, and according to its director, Marcus Osorio, for the past 6 years, the institution has become an integral part of the industry and the lives of many farmers.
Well, I can say that CIRDI has integrated very well into the industry. Today, I think the language of the industry has been CIRDI, and most recently, the information system that CIRDI has started to develop, and I must say with the support of the European Union, with support of the industry, and even government, that we are engaging in setting up the base of the industry where it has to do with information, with data, which will come to be the sugar industry management information system, which will be a tool moving the industry forward, on which decisions will be made, which will be informed decisions based on accurate information, accurate data. And most recently, I think in the last few days, CIRDI has been targeted as the bad boy in the industry, having to do with the adjustments in the production estimate. But we are glad, and we thank the farmers who came out this morning. Even though they came out with a frustration, it gave us the opportunity to give them the information as it is. We have nothing to hide. And as I told them earlier this morning, everything that CIRDI has done for the industry, for the farmers, has always been in the interest of the farmers and the industry. And I challenged the farmers out here this morning. Tell me if there has been an instance that CIRDI did something that was not in the interest of the farmers. Nobody could have asked or challenged it. So I think CIRDI is relevant, will remain relevant in the industry. Yes, there are ups and downs, and there will always be challenges. But I think what is most important is that the information is given to the farmers the correct way.
During the course of the year, CIRDI field officers hold continuous cane farmers field schools to acquaint them with new planting methods, varieties of cane, and optimum maintenance of fields. Yesterday, the family of Loida August, along with some friends, protested in front of the San Ignacio Police Station and Magistrate Court. They want her to be set free. That's because she is behind bars facing firearm offenses. August and her husband, an ex-soldier of the BDF, were jailed after a firearm was found on their property. She has 4 children and ailing parents, unable to keep taking care of the children. The protesters are demanding that she be let go because she was unfairly prosecuted.
They have made 2 appeals, and both appeals have been denied. But because of the gun law, which I call a blanket law, police doesn't have enough equipment to carry out the right forensics to say who is the rightful owner of the gun. They pick up anybody of the day and they put you in prison until you either get an appeal or get an attorney to get you off. So this is the reason why we are out here asking for the court justice to listen to our case and free Miss Lloyd Agas. She has nothing to do with this case. She's an innocent mother of 4, locked up in prison for over 3 to 4 months now. We need justice now, and we want the gun law to be repealed. The mother was totally unaware of what was happening. Then the law should make a leniency at least on the mother. You know, this is the reason why we are out here. Totally unaware of what was happening. It could have been that it was planted, but we have what they call forensics. They're supposed to do the job, match the fingerprints there, and if they find the man guilty, then put the charge upon her, you know. So this is the way we do out here for. We want justice. We don't want no blanket law. They send nobody to jail. Should I got leniency? Then got a situation right now. Recently happened with some people where they sell coffee upstairs just in front of the bank. Those couples were found with a gun inside the house. They claim that they planted there, but they're both out right now, right? They're both out. Why? Because they must have got money. That's the only reason I could think, you know. There are people in poor, right? So they get locked up.
We need the gun law for change, you know, because only the innocent people go to jail. The poor people go to jail, and the big time, the big fish, the big crocodile, and do all kind of things. And we there right there. Right now, this young lady there at jail for 5 years and left all her kids outside. And I think that's not right, because the one who got the guns, so they're at jail. Let's go to the young lady, Lloyd Agas, you know. She no business there, because then I don't think then they do nothing good when they left kids outside by themselves, because they create more criminal out in the street once you left a youth or a kid outside. Once you left a kid without fathers or parents, you just make it worse for the society.
We want the liberation of Lloyd Agas. Lloyd Agas is a 25-year-old lady. She has 4 children. She has been incarcerated, remanded to prison because apparently a gun was found in their property. The husband is in jail and she's in jail. She has 4 young children. The grandparents are 85 and 87 years of age. They have no income and they cannot maintain these children. The children's right is to be beside their mother. The mother's right is to be beside their children, to raise their children the proper way. We want justice, as what the people are clamoring. This gun law has to be repealed. The opposition has mentioned it at the House of Representatives. The Prime Minister refuses to amend the law, to repeal the law, just because the People's United Party is advocating for it. This is totally wrong. This is ego on his behalf. We need the gun law repealed. This is a ridiculous law. People are going to jail who do not deserve to jail. Why should a 25-year-old woman who has 4 children under the age of 10 be incarcerated because a gun was found in their property? If there is one person that is guilty, then one person should be guilty and go to jail or to suffer the consequences. This lady has to be freed.
A retired Russian national who currently resides in Hopkins Village and his family were victims of a home invasion a few weeks ago, in which thousands of dollars and jewelry were taken from his apartment that he currently rents at the Seagulls Inn establishment in the village. It is an act that disturbs him greatly, as his wife was subjected to the fear instilled by 3 men who broke into their place. Victor Bogomolov spoke to Love News today and described how the entire incident unfolded in the early morning of April 24th, 2015.
They entered our house. Everything was locked. They even opened deadlock by something, you know, through the window. There were bars, but with hand, well, they know better how to open. I describe more longer than for them to open it. So they entered, questioned my wife, where is the money? She was sleeping in one room, and me and my daughter in another room. And so they questioned, where is the money? Their heads were, you know, like this, and only eyes. She could see only eyes. And that was very, very long. Of course, that was very stressful for her because she's 40, beautiful young woman. I'm 64, she's 40. Believe me, I have very good taste. She's very attractive, very beautiful. So luckily for us, they found money, jewelry, everything themselves. And thanks God it happened this way. Then they all gathered to see what they found. That was peak of their work. So at that moment, she managed to escape from her room to our room and shut the door and started slap me. Victor, wake up, burglary, you know, thieves. That was about 3:45, something like this. And so they left when we opened, when I woke up, so maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes, they left already. And they were smart, and thanks God that everything happened this way. They left all documents, all Visa cards. They only took almost $10,000, which we were supposed to pay land tax, but failed to pay in Dungrig because land's office. So they had a wrong program, so they advised me to go to Bilmapan. But I had already the money, and that was already after 3.
Bogomolov told Love News that since the incident occurred in Hopkins Village, he has lost some friends, as majority of the residents there are related to each other, and he believes it is well known in the village who the 3 men are that invaded his home. He went on appealing to the Hopkins residents to not encourage or tolerate that kind of behavior in their small community, as it does not bode well for tourists or investments.
Belize is small, and the Hopkins is very, very special that all of them are relatives. So the whole village knows, everyone knows who did it. I have a lot of friends. Now these friends cannot look into my eyes because they know that I know. They know the thieves. And they cannot look into my eyes. So I lost friends because of that. I spoke to the police. They said that people are reluctant to give evidence. They may speak, they may hint, but they no statement, nothing to go to court with. But I stipulated that I would not, in a police statement, I stipulated I wouldn't go to court procedure if things would be returned. I also understand that money never would be returned.
While Bogomolov is appealing to the thieves to at least return his wedding rings, he also met with the Belize Tourism Board and has suggested that guest houses be partially responsible in replacing stolen items in situations like these, and that tourists and visitors be encouraged to insure their items whilst in Belize.
Why guest house is not obliged by regulations? And I proposed this to Belize Tourism Board. Yesterday we spent almost 2 hours. A very bright young lady, Rochelle Godfrey, she's in charge of this retirement program with Belize Tourism Board. So she's very active, and she wrote and we tried to elaborate measures how to improve. So why don't the owners of smaller hospitality establishment, they must to ensure at least partial responsibility, partial liability if something happens with tourists. Fair, of course fair. 10%. But then not the whole village would keep mum. If you understand, it would be more conducive to improving the whole situation. I'm not complaining. I'm trying to make things better because we have big project, and I would love to Belize to prosper, and my project very selfish rather. I'm thinking about my family and our shareholders, how to improve everything. So then these shares and tourists should be advised to insure their possessions when they come to Belize. For instance, I didn't even think about this, about insurance. So it costs nothing. For insurance companies, again, expanding business and getting it more profound, it is good. I believe very good.
Bogomolov is originally from Russia and is currently a part of the Belize retirement program. He has been doing some road construction works in southern Belize since he moved here. Police in Placencia have arrested and charged 38-year-old Marlon Wright for the crime of possession of controlled drug. Police say that they were on foot patrol when they came across Wright, who was coming from the west side of the village. Police conducted a search of his person, and while they were doing so, a black plastic bag fell to the ground. Wright reportedly quickly attempted to conceal the bag by placing his foot over it, but his quick move was noticed by the officer, who then retrieved the plastic bag. In it, there was 4 grams of crack cocaine, for which Wright was charged for. Also, Placencia's quick response team conducted a search behind Jay Bird's bar in the village in an abandoned lot. There, they found a black plastic bag containing several other smaller bags, which had in weed. It all weighed 113 grams and was labeled as found property, since no one was in that area when it was found. Earlier today, we told you of a Russian man who with his wife and daughter were victims of home invasions in Hopkins Village, Stand Creek District in the latter part of April. There is yet another story to report tonight coming out of the very same village. An American couple that resides in the village has told police officers that on Friday night around 7:30 p.m., they were alerted by the dogs barking, and when the man, 62-year-old Ralph Porter, stepped outside to make checks in his yard, he encountered 3 masked men dressed in black clothing approaching him from the back of the house. One of the robbers was armed with a black handgun and pointed it in Porter's face, forcing him inside the house. The 3 men followed Porter inside where his wife, Juanita Buckles, was. They then forced the man to lie on the ground while they ransacked his home and took several electronic items and cash to a total value of $4,650. During the incident, Porter was hit several times in the head with the gun, and Buckles, too, was assaulted in the home invasion. The Belize National Teachers Union continue their consultations on the Petro-Caribe Loans Act. Yesterday, a session was held in the Stand Creek District. Correspondent Harry Arzu has the story.
In June of 2005, the Republic of Venezuela and several Caribbean countries, including Belize, entered into an energy cooperation agreement providing for the establishment of Petro-Caribe. And in furtherance of the said agreement, Venezuela and Belize entered into a bilateral energy cooperation agreement in September of 2005, where Venezuela agreed to supply to Belize crude oil, refined products, and liquid petroleum gas up to 4,000 barrels per day on an annual basis. With this backdrop, teachers from the Stand Creek District closed their classrooms and attended a consultation on the issue of the Petro-Caribe Loan Act. Some teachers are still not sure how the Act and the amendments will affect them, including the proposed Education Rules Amendment 2015. The event, which was organized by the Belize National Teachers Union, also had the presence of BNTU President Luke Palacio.
What we're doing with our consultations right now basically is to sensitize our membership, let them understand the dangers of this law and basically the things that stood against what we fought for in 2005 was the Finance and Audit Reform Act. We fought for that and we are not prepared to compromise on that. The provisions of that act must be adhered to. In terms of where the money shall be kept now, if indeed he changes that to the central bank, we believe that that is okay, as opposed to say that the money may be kept there and afterwards you find out that the money is all over the place. We want, I guess, some more specifics in terms of the use of the money. And so when we do these consultations with our membership, we basically want at this point that you give us some suggestions, some ideas. If you're having heard the presentation, if there are some deep-seated concerns that you think we need to address, we should conclude these consultations by the 26th of this month. And then when our council meets, either in a special session or our regularly scheduled council meeting is for the 6th of June. At that time, we would have then gotten the results of the feelings of our membership after the consultation. The council would then decide on a plan of action that again we'll be bringing back to you for your support.
Similar consultations with teachers from other parts of this country will be held as per schedule. Reporting full of news from Dangriga, I'm Harry Aizu.
Education Showcase 2015 continues over the course of the next 2 weeks in all 6 districts. Activities for this month include workshops, consultations, and events involving primary schools, among others. The next scheduled activity as part of this month's celebration in education is an open day set to take place at the Department of Youth Services in Belize City on Wednesday, May 20th. Sabrina Daly is a youth volunteer who we met up with at the center and who told us what is being planned for tomorrow.
Those improvements will be highlighted in the open day tomorrow, where so there have been the new improvements will be the new recording studio, the same conference room, the resource center, the youth-friendly open lounge, which is the game room as well, and Wi-Fi hotspots as well. So those are the new improved one, as well as adding to the core, which is the youth governance, youth enterprise, and the sexual and reproductive health services as well. To pretty much bring awareness to the youths, because most of them talk about that they're not really aware of the different stuff that are available to them. So I believe that this open day will actually bring awareness to the availability of these resources that are there for them. It's open to everyone, youths, parents, businesses, anyone. Everyone is available to everything here is available to everyone. So when I say businesses, for example, we know that the youth enterprise assists the youths in finding jobs, in lobbying for them to find jobs, and helping them in training them to be able to provide their skills for the job. So when I say businesses, I believe that coming to the open day, they would be able to work hand in hand with the leader of the unit to help provide jobs for these people, the youths that come. Tomorrow, Wednesday, the 20th of May, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So everyone is invited to come out and be aware of the services that the Department of Youth Services offers.
Other functions planned for the remainder of this month under the Education Showcase 2015 umbrella are a Belize Youth Forum, a Teachers Festival, Early Childhood Development Conference, an education exhibition, as well as a Public Information Day. Education Showcase 2015 is an annual program held in the month of May, where the Ministry of Education highlights the progress being made in the education system. World Environment Day will be celebrated on June 5th under the theme 7 Billion Dreams, One Planet, Consume with Care. The Department of the Environment is inviting submissions for its recycled art competition. Sele Cho is an environmental officer.
Every year, the Department of the Environment celebrates World Environment Day. Globally, World Environment Day is celebrated on June 5th, and this year the theme is 7 Billion Dreams, One Planet, Consume with Care. And so since the theme centers around our consumption of natural resources, we thought about recycling and reusing products. So to give the students a fun way of thinking about reusing stuff, we thought about a competition using waste materials. So we're asking students to design an art piece from waste material. At least it has to be composed of 75% waste material. And also the size of it should be about cover 2 to 4 square feet of floor space. And judging will be based on best use of waste materials, innovation, and of course best presentation. Who can enter? We say any person between the ages 13 to 17. And it can be a single person entering, or if you want to do a group, you can have more one persons, but bear in mind that the prize will be distributed among that group. Speaking of prizes, the first place is $1,000, second place $750, and the third place $500. The deadline for submission is June 12th, 2015, and you can send your submissions to the Department of the Environment. Once we collect all the art pieces submitted and we have our judging, we will be planning an art show for later in June. More information can be found on our Facebook page, Department of the Environment-DOE, as well as our website, doe.gov.bz.
A night of worship is scheduled for May 30th at the Boca del Rio Park in San Pedro Ambergris Key. Community members are being invited to attend a free gospel concert, which will be highlighting local gospel singers and praise teams from the U.S. Gospel artist Cyril Peterson, also known as Reality Youth, says the concert is an attempt to bring love and peace to Belize.
We are here to exalt the name of Jesus Christ and to glorify His name, because we are living in the end times, and we know that there is so much crime that is plaguing the nation of Belize. And there is only one name that is above all name that can bring love and peace in this nation of Belize, is Jesus Christ. So we as the body of Christ come to keep exalting the name of Jesus Christ as we wait for His coming. No one knows the time or the hour when Christ will return, but we know that He will come back. And while we are down here on earth, preparing the way for Christ to come, we will continue to prepare the way, because if the gospel don't preach, Christ cannot come. Jesus said when the gospel reach the ends of the earth, then He will come back.
Performances will be in abundance, featuring several gospel singers and groups. Peterson shared his tune of worship.
The name of this song is Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. There is no other way. Don't put nothing before Jesus Christ. Not even yourself, not even your mother, your father, your brother, or your sister, or your uncle, or your nephew. Not even silver or gold. Not even your house or your car where you're driving. Jesus Christ should be the center of your life. You listen to the words when me utter. Jesus Christ, the way, the truth, and the life.
The opening worship will be done by the Sagebrush Praise Team. The concert commences at 7 p.m. Our thought conditioner for today comes from Kurt Lewin. He said, quote, "A successful individual typically sets his next goal somewhat, but not too much above his last achievement. In this way, he steadily raises his level of aspiration." End of quote. To have your thought conditioner featured in this segment of our news, you can email them to us at news@lovetv.com.bz. This has been the evening news on Love Television. Thanks for watching. I am Taryn Butcher.